Welcome to the FFBcast podcast, home to fantasy greatness. Here's your host, Joseph Hoppe.
Hey everybody, welcome in. FFB Joe here, bringing you another episode via FFBcast. Check us out online at ffbcast.com for your very own custom podcast. FFBcast, your fantasy league's media coverage company. Now, today I am going to get into the Combine episode, what it was like attending the Combine from a general public perspective. We took the trip down to Indianapolis, and we had absolutely no special media clearances whatsoever. Anything that we did or we talk about doing in today's episode is very well anything that you could do as well if you were to attend the Combine, which I suggest that you do because it was a great time. Maybe the Combine itself, not so exciting, but the atmosphere in Indianapolis centered around the Combine, centered around Lucas Stadium and the Convention Center, everything that's going on down there, super exciting, just the people that you're going to run into. We've got some great stories, so stay tuned if you want to hear some of that, and please do. Because we'll be breaking down the trip in details and giving you tips and things to look forward to, how to get those free tickets to get into Lucas Oil Stadium, to be a spectator of the Combine. You're going to have to put in some work. You're going to have to be early and plan these things, especially if you want to get a hotel reservation. But like I said, we'll get into that. We'll also break down some of the player stats, because obviously we want to talk, football relevant stuff. This isn't just an episode about a trip, but I could do one on that alone. So stay tuned, everybody. We will break down the running back class, wide receivers, tight ends, and quarterbacks coming up just shortly. Now, before we get into some football relevant stuff, I'm going to tell you guys how to get free tickets to attend the Combine as a spectator. I'm sure you heard me mention it in the intro, so you're going to want to go to oneiota.com. That is the number one, IOTA.com, oneiota. Go on there. You're going to have to create an account, log in, and you're going to want to build your profile. Now, when you build your profile, it'll start off at, say, 0%. You're going to add some brief information. I think it might ask for a phone number. It might ask for an address. It may not. I don't recall. But when you do, you'll go up to 20%. Now, they're going to want you to connect your Facebook, connect your Twitter. You'll go up to like 40, 60, 80%. I think I'm at 80%. I think the only thing I didn't do was connect my Twitter because I didn't want them posting messages from my account. I did let them, I gave my Facebook up. Well, I mean, it's whatever. But my Facebook isn't necessarily as professional as my Twitter account needs to be. So I digress. But anyways, you're going to want to build your profile, and then the stronger your profile is, I think it jumps you up on the waiting list. So say you're 80%, you're going to be ahead of those that are 20, 40, 60. I believe I did read something that said something, similar to that. I'm paraphrasing. So build your profile, but all you have to do is submit for these tickets now, and they'll be pending for a while, but they'll get approved. Now, I put in for my tickets for the day one of workouts, the offensive linemen and running backs, maybe a week in advance, and they were approved rather quickly. The second day of workouts is in much higher demand. The quarterbacks, receivers, tight ends, obviously, but for that one, I spoke with people. I was not approved. I definitely did not plan ahead, which is why we wanted to put this episode out there for you guys. So if you can have an enjoyable experience if you want to attend the Combine. But as I was saying, I spoke with people who put in a month and a half in advance for the day two of on-field workouts, and they weren't approved. So I'm telling you this now. Log on, create your account, and build your profile and look for this event. As soon as it goes on the site, we'll probably give you guys a notification. And we'd love to meet up with some of you guys if you're interested in that. We can show you some good places to go. Like I said, we've got some great stories. We ended up giving up our seats at a well-known restaurant for former Super Bowl MVP Santonio Holmes. We spoke with a lot of great people, a lot of good personalities. You guys are going to want to hear about all this stuff. So stay tuned. But next, we're going to get into the more football-relevant stuff for those of you who are not here for the trip details. All right, let's get into the football-relevant stuff, and we'll dive a little bit into some fantasy relevance as well. Let's start off with the wide receivers. My top 3 wide receivers are as follows: Hakeem Butler, N'Keal Harry, and DK Metcalf. Butler strikes me as just the bigger specimen who is more well-rounded. DK Metcalf, obviously a monster, but he comes up as my 3rd wide receiver, and I have him pegged as a early 2nd-round pick overall. As the 2nd receiver in the 2nd round. I don't see this as being a strong wide receiver class. And N'Keal Harry ahead of DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf, obviously a specimen, and runs that 4.33 40 at 6'3", 228 pounds with a 40.5-inch vertical jump as well. Just amazing numbers, a great performance, but you have to kind of approach this, the combine that is, from a strategical standpoint. Now, if you're DK Metcalf and you put those numbers up, why are you going to participate any further and hurt your draft stock? You're not really going to do anything to help your draft stock. You've pretty much vaulted yourself into the back end of the 1st round with this first workout and these numbers. I mean, he also put up 27 reps as well as Butler, which benching doesn't really show too much correlation for success for wide receivers in the NFL. But that's pretty good. They're strong. I mean, 27 reps. Let's quick look at the tight ends where you have Hockenson and Fant. Hockenson only putting up 17 reps. Fant puts up 20. So you have these wide receivers, these big specimen, these big body guys, putting up 27 reps, just showing that they are strong and physically dominant. Now let's look at this from the perspective of DK Metcalf, when he should have just kind of shut it down. I mean, that's in hindsight. We're saying that in hindsight now, saying don't participate in any more drills after posting that 3-cone and shuttle time, which were worse than Tom Brady's. So, that shouts this guy isn't agile. He can't move. He can't cut. He can't, separate in and out of breaks. So this guy is a one-trick pony. He is a, get downfield quick and throw him a jump ball type of receiver. Not even on Des Bryant's level, I would say. At this point, now him and Dez are probably very good comps at these points in their careers. These are guys who are going to use their body to separate. They are relying on their physical dominance to box out players, to go up and high point the ball. They're going to be matchup nightmares. But as long as you can get somebody who's fairly competent and has, average height in the NFL, I don't see why this guy can't be covered. I don't see him running 4.33 speed in full gear, especially if he has to come off of press coverage. I mean, like I said, I think I summed this all up when I basically put him outside of the 1st round. I think teams also realize that, and we're going to see that come the draft. But let's move on to the tight ends. We previewed them a little bit earlier, briefly. Now let's go over Hockenson and Fant, since We're going to keep it very simple and relevant. Those are the only names that you guys really need to know right now at this point. Depending on situations and where guys fall, we will recap all of this, and when it comes time for fantasy relevance and your fantasy seasons are beginning or mock drafts are starting to happen, we'll go back over this entire rookie draft class, and we'll give you guys everything that you need to know. But right now, we're just going to hit the high notes. Hockenson, 6'5", 251 pounds. We said before he's only putting up 17 reps on the bench. DJ Jeremiah, I think he has him as his number 6 overall prospect out of this year's draft class, which is amazing. We all remember Eric Ebron going in the top 10, I think, before Odell Beckham Jr. and the Lions regret and have been shamed for it. They have been reminded very so often. But now Ebron doing good things with the Colts. So a lot of these player situations have to do with their landing spots. Let's take a look at Noah Fant. He runs a 4.5 40, the faster of the two tight ends. Hockenson just a bit slower with the 4.7, but Fant almost the same size as Hockenson, 6'4", 249. But Fant just not really looking and seeming as big on the field as Hockenson. Hockenson reminds me of Rob Gronkowski. He looks like he can put guys on their backside, so to speak. Pancake blocks seem to be a very possible thing with this man on, some of the best linebackers that a tight end will be matched up or asked to block and cover. So Fant seemingly more of a TJ Hernandez, if I dare to go that way with Gronk and Hernandez comparisons. He runs a 4.22 20 shuttle, actually falling short to Hockenson's 4.18, and then his 3-cone is 6.81 ahead of Hockenson's 7.02. Now Fant is climbing into the top 15 as well. We could see two tight ends from the same school out of Iowa in this draft class going inside the top 15 overall. Now let's get into running backs, and we have Justice Hill really only being, in my eyes, the only winner of this class. Now we were there in attendance, and we're watching these running backs, and you could just tell it was slow. There's no official timing, so you have people standing there with their stopwatches, but most of these guys are just putting up 4.68s, 4.74s, and everybody's just shaking their head. Justice Hill comes out and puts on a 4.4 40 that just kind of looked amazing compared to the rest of the running back class, because Devin Singletary, Elijah Holyfield, David Montgomery, some of those bigger names that we expected to kind of at least not disappoint in the combine, that's exactly what they did. They disappointed. So Justice Hill, Oklahoma State running back, looking explosive and is maybe the only winner out of the running back class here, putting up that 4.4 40, which let's look at the fastest 40 time this year. It was 4.29 from Zedrick Woods, the safety. Now he puts up a 4.29. Second place is a 4.3, but then we have tied for third place is two 4.31s ran by wide receivers Andy Isabella and Paris Campbell. Now those are interesting prospects that I did not mention when we looked at the wide receivers, but keep those names in the back of your mind. Those are speedster guys. They almost seem like specialists at this point. We'll see what their landing spots are, and I know I keep beating that horse, but that's going to be huge, when it comes to fantasy. You really want to see where these guys land.
You're listening to an FFBcast podcast. For more custom content, visit us online at ffbcast.com.
All right, let's get back into the tripped aspect of the 2019 NFL Combine. If you are going through One Iota for those free tickets like we described earlier in the show, then you are going to want to know to be comfortable. Now, a lot of the time we spent waiting. We waited in line prior, which was probably about 40 to 45 minutes. We got inside, we waited an hour. They told us we would wait 15 minutes. We waited another hour. And then after that, we probably waited another hour before we were led into the stands of Lucas Oil Stadium, which were completely empty. There weren't very many people there. So the organization on day one wasn't that great. Hopefully it was better on day two, because I understand that it was extremely busy, but you're going to be doing a lot of waiting. Then you're going to get into the stands, and you're going to sit there, and you're going to be so far away from these players. You're not going to be really able to see anything, so bring some binoculars. That's one thing that is going to make or break this experience. Bring some binoculars. You're going to want to see these guys close up, as close as you can get. And don't necessarily be bound to the seats that you're first given. Now, I just like to, and a lot of people know this about me, I like to push the limits on things. And so I'll get up and I'll walk around in stadiums and see how close I can get, before, somebody stops me, or security, they'll check your tickets, or they'll check your privilege. And so we did that here, and we got some pretty good seats. We got closer up and much more spacious than we had previously had been escorted to. So that worked out for us. I'm not recommending it. Don't go wandering off and getting yourself in trouble. I did not tell you to do that. Also, you need to know that you cannot have your cell phone on inside the stadium. You cannot have cameras or camcorders, which I had all three of those things. I brought a camcorder in, a size-efficient one, and then a professional camera as well, and my phone, kind of thinking I was going to really get as much content as I could and put it up on the site, really put it up on Twitter for you guys all to see. Put some pictures along with this story here. It would have really summed it up and made it so much greater than I hope it is going to be for you guys, especially if you heed this advice. But as I was saying, you're going to want to be prepared. Have binoculars. Be patient. Make sure that you eat. There's going to be concessions there, though. You will be able to walk around freely. Use the restrooms as you'd like. But it's going to be a lot of sitting and being supervised by one iota staff, because they're making sure that people aren't taking pictures. They're not having their phones out, which is huge, because as long as people abide by these rules that they set, they'll allow us to keep coming back there. The only other way that you're going to get in there is if you have media clearance. So, by the way, we're going to have something in the future for you guys if you're interested in kind of helping us out, and we will reward you with some free FFBcast stuff, whether it be podcast episodes or accessories or auxiliary items that come along with those podcasts. Maybe a free month of FFB chat, which we are still in the early stages of. Keep an eye out for that, but that's coming along quite well. But what we're going to have you guys do is you are going to get us media clearance by the NFL. We are going to have you guys tweet at these guys who are in charge. You are going to send messages to earn this free stuff and kind of let them know that we have a presence and let them know that we're here. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys do that. And then, like I said, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours, and we'll get you some free stuff. So look forward to that. There'll be a link on the website soon. Just keep checking us out, because I know we're redeveloping and redesigning every day. I mean, as we grow and interest grows, we keep expanding and trying to improve in every aspect. So visit us online often and check out what's new. All right, now after you have absorbed as much of the combine as you can without being able to take pictures, no footage, no media, no nothing whatsoever. You're not sending friends pictures to make them jealous. You're not posting it to your Twitter. You're not posting 40 times on YouTube and getting likes and shares and ad money and everything that everybody probably thought that they were going to be able to do. You're not doing any of that. But one thing that I did forget to mention is a nice headset that One Iota provides you with. And what the headset was helpful with, they did a live cast with Reggie Wayne. He was kind of breaking down what was going on during the workouts. And you could hear him. Otherwise, they just had kind of NFL music playing in the background. But every so often, they'd have people come in, and you could hear what was going on in the field. One thing was especially funny when a facilitator had to scold, and I mean he was very adamant about it. Some late coming media personalities, and he was especially telling them to get out of the way of the scouts. Everybody could hear it. Everybody in the stands. It was kind of funny. But yeah, there's good stuff going on there. I mean, it's a great experience. But after the combine and all that is what really really sold me on going back every year. The combine is great for the players, and it was disappointing because you're not able to get the media that you kind of hope and expect. But it's a good experience to see all the on-field workouts and, kind of give everybody the eye test and give yourself the eye test as well. Can you distinguish a 4.340 between, a 4.5? You should be able to tell that, on the eye test. As if you don't have a stopwatch with you, and things like that, and agility, and just watching these guys. Some of these guys are lackadaisically just going through, knowing they're going to get drafted. You could tell which ones are really pushing it. So it's fun when you get a guy who's really pushing it. Just such an underdog. Who was lucky to even be invited to the combine, going up against one of these guys, and he's kind of forcing him to really play his hardest, even though there is a talent gap, but I mean, some of this stuff, it gets really exciting and it's fun to see. There's no other way to explain it than to be there in person. So we apologize we couldn't get you the footage, and pictures and stuff like that we had hoped, but this whole story here, hopefully I'm inspiring you guys to go out and, plan a trip next year or years to come for the combine, and continuously after that, because, one thing here I've got to tell you about is the nightlife around Indianapolis, and even just the day life, walking throughout the day, me spotting Reggie McKenzie, saying hello to him on the street. He's just walking around. It kind of threw me off. He was in a full Dolphins getup, and I hadn't realized that Miami was hiring him as basically, a talent acquisition specialist. But it's kind of cool just to see everybody down there. And then later that night, we went to a nice restaurant, and I kind of cut myself off earlier in the show. I was going to give the name of the restaurant, but it's been so popular and on so many other podcasts, I'm not going to do it. If you guys want to meet me down there, I will go there with you, because I plan on having multiple reservations every year. Which I did try passing along a reservation to the guys of the Around the NFL podcast. Unfortunately, they were flying back that night. Chris Wessling was kind enough to hit me back and let me know that. But like I said, I'm going to have multiple reservations if you guys want to meet up and do this thing. We can really do it. Now, when I was at this restaurant, we were just having drinks, me and an associate of mine, and we ended up giving up our table to Santonio Holmes. We're sitting next to a gentleman who told us this story about him tweeting 7 years ago out to Antonio Brown, and Antonio Brown really responding and going out to lunch with him, ended up taking him to NFL awards, and it became a 5-day hangout type of deal. As he's telling us this, Santonio Holmes calls his phone, so there he is, and we're no longer speaking with him. I mean, he's entertaining Santonio Holmes right now, but this is getting pretty crowded right now. There's a line out the door. They're not just letting people in as they please. So, buddy of mine, we decide to get up and we offer our table to Santonio Holmes. It's just cool, to see these people and associate with him. He had his MVP hat on, and you just kind of get, almost starstruck, I should say. But then there's a lot of real humanizing factors to it, too, when you see somebody's height and you're like, wow, he's really not that tall, but this guy is a Super Bowl MVP. This guy was an incredible, world-class athlete. So it's a lot of cool stuff. You guys have got to experience it yourself. So I hope you enjoyed the show, and I really do hope that I have inspired you, or at least piqued your interest as to what it's like to travel to the Combine. Really not all that expensive either, fairly cheap for me. I drove. Depending on where you're flying from, I'll say fairly cheap, but I hope to see you guys there next year. Let me know what you think and how you feel about it. ffbcast@gmail.com. You can always hit us up on Twitter too, @FFBcast. You can find us on Facebook and on YouTube as well, where you can subscribe to our channel, find all the videos, and where we post most podcasts. So check that out as well. We appreciate it. Like I said earlier in the show, keep visiting ffbcast.com. Check out the new stuff that we have coming out this off season, and we look forward to a fun season upcoming with you guys for the 2019 fantasy football season. We've got a great thing coming where we're going to do a discount on our draft recap episode. So as soon as you guys start mock drafting, you're going to want to come check out the website and see what we have to offer, because we're just going to have some great things that nobody else offers. So check it out. It's definitely going to be worth your time. We appreciate it, and I hope you guys all are doing well. Peace, love, happiness, and we appreciate your support as always.
That concludes this episode. Follow us on Twitter @FFBcast and email your questions to ffbcast@gmail.com. See you next time for more fantasy greatness.